Do you feel like you and your husband fight about the same things over and over? And no matter what, nothing ever gets solved? It's exhausting, isn't it? Deep down, you might even be scared. These constant arguments could break your marriage. But you're not alone. So many women go through this. In this video, I'll show you the 5 steps to finally stop the fighting and feel like a team again. The first step is practice self-regulation and don't lash out. When your emotions spike and you get activated, it's so tempting to lash out and say some things you don't mean. But fights happen when both partners are feeling dysregulated. Taking a breath, stepping away for a moment, or simply saying, "I need a second to calm down," prevents the fight from escalating. For example, if he says something dismissive, instead of snapping back at him, just take a pause and breathe, because this pause alone can change the outcome of the conversation. Tell me in the comments, when things get heated, are you more likely to lash out or shut down? I'd love to hear where you find yourself in a conflict. Here's the hard truth. Frequent, constant fights are the #1 reason people often divorce. To help you break this cycle before it damages your relationship for good, I've created a relationship coaching and reconnection program that will help you stop the fighting and reconnect with your partner again. I'll share more about this program and how it can help you at the end of the video. Tip number 2, notice when talking to your partner, your tone turns critical. Many fights escalate not just because of what we say, but how we actually say it. A sharp, critical tone can make your partner be defensive instantly. For example, this statement, "You never listen to me," will close him off emotionally. Versus if you tell him, "I really need you to hear me right now," keeps the door open. The moment you feel like anger is creeping into your voice, shift back to being calm and gentle. With this one small adjustment, you can prevent hours of arguing. This is my promise to you. Number 3, share your vulnerable feelings and needs. If you say to your husband something like, "When you dismiss my concerns, I feel invisible. What I really need to know and hear from you is that I actually matter to you." When you say this, you're being very vulnerable as opposed to harsh. Now, if you say this with anger and criticism, the anger is going to hide the vulnerability and hurt, because anger is often such a good mask for feelings of hurt, fear, sadness, and vulnerability. So instead of getting stuck in anger, share your vulnerable feelings. Because when you risk vulnerability, you're actually pulling your partner closer instead of pushing him away. But first, you need to understand what your vulnerable, softer feelings under the anger are. And then you need to communicate it to him. And you can't just expect him to get you. A lot of times people come to me and they're like, "But this is how I'm expressing my need. I am being very gentle." But when they're in the session with me and they start talking, I can see that their vulnerable feelings are all mixed in with a lot of vindictiveness and anger and frustration. When you are sharing your feelings, you may not realize that you're actually expressing anger rather than gentle and vulnerable feelings. Number 4, activate joy and lightness in your relationship. What I mean by that is, if all you do is argue, your relationship is gonna start to feel heavy. Being able to work things out with your partner requires you to be diplomatic and flexible. Sometimes you need to shift gears and create moments of connection, lightheartedness, go for a walk, watch something funny together, or cook a meal together. This doesn't mean your problems are going to go away. You're consciously compartmentalizing here. Because when you're in a state of joy with your partner, you're rebuilding connection. And that makes it easier for you to have the harder conversation later on. Tell me, what's one simple thing you could do this week to bring more lightness and fun into your relationship? Please share it in the comments. You may actually inspire someone else. Number 5, choose the right timing for hard topics. Not every moment is a right moment to have a heavy conversation. If your partner just got home being stressed and you immediately launch into heavy conversations, it's not going to go well for you. Sometimes you need to give it some space. Wait until emotions settle down and then come back to it when you're both feeling calmer. This makes all the difference. Number 6, you need to understand your conflict cycle. Many couples have repetitive arguments and fights. They keep fighting about one or two things. Maybe it starts with you feeling ignored, you raise your voice, he shuts down, and you both spiral. So you need to recognize and identify the cycle before it takes a life of its own. For example, you can say, "I've noticed every time I bring up the topic of money, I get angry. You withdraw, and we end up yelling." Naming the cycle gives you the power to stop repeating it and helps you consciously choose a different response. Now, I've got a great playlist on how to stop fighting with your partner. I'll link it right above so you can check it out if you're interested. Now, here's the thing. I'd hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're constantly fighting without any resolution, these fights won't disappear on their own, and they will ultimately damage your relationship. The miscommunication, resentment, and deadly silence will slowly chip away at your relationship until it is beyond repair. But you don't have to let it get there. That's why I created my relationship communication and reconnection coaching program, where I've taken my 12 years of experience as a couples therapist and turned it into a proven process to help you break free from fighting, rebuilding safety and trust, and feeling like a team again. And you don't have to take my word for it. One of my clients, SK, shared that in working with me, even though her husband wasn't willing to participate in any help, when she started to change her communication, he started softening and responding differently to her. She told me, "It gave me hope I thought I had lost." In working with me, another couple told me they were on the verge of separation. The fighting and the silence made them feel like they're living in two different worlds. But after working together, their arguments calmed down and they finally felt like they had a real chance again. Now, if you're ready for this kind of change in your relationship where the fights turn into connection and you can actually enjoy each other again, then this relationship coaching program is for you. And because this program is currently in beta phase, this will be the lowest price I'll ever offer it at. I'm only accepting 3 people into this program. Once the spots are filled, the price will increase. You can apply to the program on my website, parisacounseling.com/relationship coaching, or click the link under this video to apply for the program. Once you apply to the program, I'll let you know within 24 hours if this is a fit for you.